Hello folks, it's me, DeMontropolis, lead developer of the Four Hounds Team, and I welcome you to our second devlog. Here we'll be showcasing some new progress we've made since the first devlog. I speak on behalf of the team when I say we've been making good progress. We have the stage design complete for pretty much all of the Robot Master stages. However, we have no idea when the next demo will be released currently, but we'll keep you updated on this. We are aware of how long it's been since the first devlog up to now, and we thank you for your patience. Rest assured, we are still committed to getting this fan game done and making it the best it can be. We may reveal some ideas we have and ask for opinions, as well as showcase in-development concepts. But do note, however, whatever doesn't have gameplay footage, do not expect it to be out by the next demo. We will now showcase the general changes we made. First, there are too many bug fixes and small level design tweaks to write down. Second, we've updated and improved all 3 of our character sheets. This was something that was on our to-do list for a long while, and we finally managed to get around to it. Third, we've made some boss modifications. Bosses in general will do more varied attacks and will be prevented from doing the same attack more than a few times in a row. Some bosses have modified attacks, like Scorchwoman's shield having a telegraph before actually absorbing projectiles, as well as spawning the Drake's flare above her to prevent too many projectiles being absorbed. Smirkman has the most significant changes. While his attacks are still the same as you remember them, he now has unique movement patterns for the spade and club attacks. His diamond attack has also been modified if you're playing as Mega Man. He's closer to the middle of the screen where you can more easily hit him. If you play as Proto Man and Bass, he stays at the very top so you can use your character's toolkit to damage him. Fourth, you may have noticed from the background music, but yes, I have been busy updating and improving upon the arranged soundtrack to Mega Man 4 Hounds. Every song has gotten tweaks, ranging from simply updating the mixing to adding completely new sections exclusive to the arranged style. It's been giving me a lot of work to do, but I'm truly proud of what I've been doing, and I'm really looking forward to uploading the new soundtrack once the time comes. We're also pleased to announce that we have finished 2 brand new weapons. The first is Oozeman's weapon, Ooze Sneak. It is by design a non-confrontational weapon that allows you to sneak past enemies unscathed. While in Ooze Sneak form, you are immune to most forms of damage, at the cost of your movement speed, and while active, the weapon drains ammo. Currently, only electrical-based attacks can hit you through your goop form, but the weapon isn't only about defensive options. Enemies that come into contact with the weapon will rapidly corrode and get damaged, melting them into mush. As long as the enemies are touching the ooze, they'll receive damage over time. But be warned, doing damage to enemies significantly increases the ammo drain. It will also not protect you from entities such as spikes or lava. Ooze Sneak has more mobility options as well, like scaling walls and ceilings, as well as a fist, which can be used as both a jump attack and an extra source of mobility. Next is Wingman's weapon, Feather Strike. It covers the player in an energy egg with wings, and launches you straight upwards, protecting you from most sources of harm while in that mode. After a brief flight, you are hatched from this egg and jump out of it, at which point you now have control over your movement. If the egg touches a ceiling, it will end the flight early, but crack the egg, sending shockwaves to both sides of the player. During the flight, you can also press the firing button again, and the egg will quickly crash down into the floor, also sending shockwaves on collision. Both of these shockwave moves, however, they do drain extra ammo. We'd like to report on the stages a bit. Currently, 3 stages have a draft ready, 2 of them being highly polished up, with 1 just finishing its first draft. All 3 of them haven't gotten a main boss yet, and 2 of them don't have a mid-boss. There's still bits and bops in need of polishing in all of them, but we're highly satisfied with how they came out. Oozeman stage is a sewer decontamination plant in Australia. Polluted water is recycled and made safe and drinkable again. The enemies will test your movement, with a few changing the environment to make it more difficult to platform, while others follow you wherever you go. Precise movement is the key with this stage. Poison Man stage is a devious top-secret laboratory in Geneva, Switzerland, just below the Dujura Nature Preserve and hidden underneath a mystical graveyard. Creepy stuff happens in the laboratory and is home to many different chemical concoctions. Although enemies will be using Poison Man's experiments against you, you yourself can do the same and turn the tide against them. Wingman Stage is a wild rush that could come towards you at any moment. Starting off on a large mountain in Japan, you must catch a ride on some of the many Armada airships that house his elite avian forces. This stage pushes you in many ways, mostly through wind and not letting you move as you wish. So, although you have to make do with the flow of the stage, you can also use it to your advantage for some daredevil stunts. Root Man Stage just started work, more or less. The necessary assets are mostly coded in, so we can't share much information about it at the moment, but we can show you a brand new enemy for this stage. Meet the Cocoa Bomb Capuchin, a cheeky little monkey that throws cocoa bombs at the player, which detonate shortly after landing. He can do this while sitting down in place or swinging off of a vine, and the bombs are as dangerous to the enemies as they are to you. That's all of the important details we got in this devlog. We will now be answering questions in our Q&A. Gray the Ocelot 1216 asked, which of the game's Robot Masters are the favorite of each team member and why? This was a really fun question for us to answer, and also very difficult with actually making us dive into the Robot Masters on a deeper level than we usually do. We have our direct favorites, but we can afford to share our general thoughts on others too. Here's how Nukes answered. I would say Scorch because her royalty angle helps her stand out among other fire robots. I've grown to like Meteor more. He's a fun, purple, macho man. Oozeman is a funny slime man, and Rootman because of his funny nose and puppet-esque appearance. Here's how Raphael answered. There's honestly no easy way to answer this because each of our Robot Masters all have strong qualities that can make them stand on their own. But if I could only pick one, it'd probably have to be Poison Man. For me, his design is a mix of both cool and goofy, especially in terms of his abilities and personalities. I mean, a plague doctor that can use his head as a weapon? Heck yeah! The other artists and I also had a lot of fun designing and animating him, so I hope you look forward to his boss fight. I also want to take the time to talk about what I like about the rest of the Robot Masters. Static Man gave me the most memories both in and out of dev when it came to redesigning him. He also made my physics class in high school a lot more fun, so huge shoutouts to him. Rootman makes great use of the Wood Forest theme by making him a full-on wooden puppet and giving him the ability to turn into a literal tree. Meteor Man's best qualities for me are his Macho Man personality and the Astroman eyes plus Gutsman jaw combo, both of which are present in the classic and modern designs. Scorchwoman combines the royalty and fire theme very well by making her a fire-powered dragon queen. With Oozeman, I'm proud of how his stage managed to be unique despite it taking place in a sewer, which is hard to not make generic, and his design is honestly a lot of fun. Wingman's military theme does wonders for his presentation, and Smirkman's name being based more around his identity than what he really is honestly makes it funnier and makes him stand out from all the other casino-themed Robot Masters. All of this to say that I struggle with picking favorites here, and I love them all. Here's how Nuthouse answered. I say for my three favorites, I'll have to go with Static Man. I like the funny diet SoundCloud rapper, and his stage theme too. Oozeman, he's a scrunkly boy and I want to hug him and make him happy, and stage theme bias too. Meteor Man, the macho man himself. Here's how A's answered. Meteor Man mostly because of his fight. It was a lot of fun to work on it. Funny space rock man. And what about my answer? Well, I do have specific things to say about my top 4, but I will go about that later down the line. While I really like Scorchwoman, Wingman, and Meteor Man for what they represent and how well they can represent that, my main guy has to be Smirkman. He kinda exudes everything I like about character design, and there's so much going on with him. His classy suit and bow tie, the dice shoulders refining his silhouette, the iconic name, his helmet design, endless confidence, and his signature roulette hat playing on his expertise in gambling. No matter what ability he gets, he knows how to maximize its potential, and metaphorically, it's a very valuable skill anyone should learn. Because everybody can be dealt different hands of cards, but what truly defines a person is both how you respond to what you have and how you make your plays. Smirkman's personality also fit right in home with Mega Man as a whole. He has never let me down. Chris, the permanently exhausted, asked, why was the Hound limit only 4? Well, 4 felt like the most appropriate number of an ensemble cast that wasn't related to Robot Masters. Any more than 4 would probably be overkill, but I'll go more into the Four Hounds in another question. Darkhaws97 asked, what's the process behind making Robot Master weapons in this game? Weapons are always based on what the Robot Masters can do, so once we establish the weapon ideas, they get refined further to have a place among the entire set. The reason why Roulette Hat and Plasma Cannon have multiple mini attacks is because that's the core foundation of the boss fights, the difference being how these attacks are selected. Drake's Flare we knew would be a homing weapon, as Scorchwoman is all about regality and summoning units to her aid. Scourge Scythe started out as the go-to piercing weapon, but the gas really made it excel in areas where the other weapons struggled. Meteor Tackle was the big damage dealer, initially flying at a strict arc until it was fine-tuned so you can alter your trajectory mid-flight. And Ooze Sneak was focused on being a more tactical weapon that could have big payoffs if you knew the full scope of its tech. Wingman's weapon was actually going to be a melee sword called Feather Blade, but it was changed to a mobility attack called Feather Strike, letting you crash into enemies above and below, as well as effectively replacing Rush Coil. Balancing Root Rave was tough because we kept asking ourselves, how do you encourage the use of a trap weapon when you put it with other weapons that already deal so much damage? I think we're proud with the conclusion we came to. Ultimately, our goal with the weapons is to make them really powerful and dependable for killing enemies in ways your default buster can only dream of, but also run out quickly if you use them recklessly. So in a way, stages were not inherently designed with any specific weapon usage in mind, they're just so powerful and mobile that you can use them anywhere. Here's how A's answered. Each weapon fits a certain role and is made unique from each other, as well as other games. I came shortly before the very first demo release, but I had a hand in the design of almost every other weapon after that. My original idea for Meteor Man's weapon is to implement his black hole cannon. There were disagreements and split voices on if that one is preferred over the Meteor idea. I did ultimately side with Demon's Meteor idea, but I added a lot of tweaks to it, including the additional bouncing of the weapon. I did small tweaks for every weapon since. The only one I personally don't like currently is Roulette Hat, but it's because I prefer Static Man's weapon and I think the two step on each other's toes a bit too much in their role. RetroPixel127 asks, does Storvagek Man really exist?
No.
Terraria McBrosif asked 3 questions. His first question was, did you come up with different ideas for the Robot Masters before you decided on the current Robot Master? No, actually. The Robot Masters were designed by me from the very beginning. They didn't all look the same as they do now, but their core ideas have always been there since day one. The second question, did you have any beta concept designs for the Four Hounds? Well, before the fan game started, I actually have been sketching up designs of the Four Hounds as far back as middle school or high school. However, those designs are lost to time as they were done on a high school iPad that hardly works anymore. I will say, they did look very different from what the Four Hounds look like now, because they weren't tied to Mega Man in any way. The third question was, what fan games, if any, were inspiration for this project? I feel like I've answered this question previously, but generally fan games don't serve as a consistent source of inspiration for development. The closest would have to be Rock and Roll. Even though I haven't played it, the decision to build the game on Godot was inspired by that fan game. QuakeSheep64 asked, what were the inspirations for the Robot Master designs? Like, if you used a character as inspiration, etc. For Smirkman, he was inspired by Metal Man and Quickman on top of the casino theme. Scorchwoman doesn't have any direct inspiration. She is simply a tough and rigid fire queen who looks less ladylike other than just being a lady. Static Man took the basis of Needleman and focused on using the headpiece as a ramming attack, hence its name, the Thunder Horns, and he was given rollerblades to complement that speed necessary to pull off a ram. Wingman was inspired by Tomahawk Man and Bad Bird from Samurai Pizza Cats. Poison Man was based on TF2 Pyro and Aquaman, while Meteor Man used Hard Man and Concrete Man as a basis for the body, along with Astro Man's eyes. If Shadow Man was a normal type of ninja, Root Man is a grass type, and the shuriken on his head is a signal that yes, they are fundamentally connected. Ooze Man is a special case. Although he was inspired by Dust Man and Mercury, the approach behind him was to make a character that I specifically would despise. Whereas every other Robot Master had an element of coolness to them and used that coolness in different ways, Oozman was specifically made to garner sympathy and be a pity character. 123 Go 05616699495 asked, does the game contain like challenge mode, time mode, and endless mode? These will be featured in the final game, but not in the demos. Tonyo9892 asked, what are the biggest difficulties you've encountered during game development? Here's how A's answered. The learning process and learning to compromise with people. As previously mentioned, I compromised on my original Meteor Man weapon idea since I found the other weapon to fit a much more unique role, but I wanted to do edits to it to make it that extra bit more special. While the other concept I had is still a great weapon idea, I have found that it doesn't fit this roster currently and ended up with a better result with more people being happy. Colgate asked, if there were two guys on the moon and one killed the other with Meteor Tackle, famed special weapon of Meteor Man from Mega Man Four Hounds, would that be fucked up or what? Here's how A's answered. I'm calling the cops, reporting you for murder. Power Simplified 1871 asked, why are the Four Hounds designed and named the way they are? What is their inspiration? The Four Hounds had an interesting upbringing. Although the fan game is named after them, they have been around for much longer in my lifetime. I had been conceptualizing an action hack-and-slash game since middle school, where four young adults went on separate journeys and traversed through heaven and hell to kill as many angels and demons as possible before their war tore apart the earth. They didn't know each other prior to the adventure, but would cross paths as rivals before winning each other's respect and teaming up. Their designs were inspired by typical RPG classes, but them being cybernetic humans was not established until they got redesigned for the fan game. Daiwu was originally just a black mage of Final Fantasy, but also used a scythe embedded in his staff. And he was named after that job's character in a Japanese novelization of the original game. Selena originally had a big heavier robe and shorter hair, but still had her giant hammer. She was named after Selena Gomez because I liked listening to her music on the car radio to school. Janias was a scientist and didn't have a white robe, instead having red glasses and white hair that was a bit messy. Although he still used different gadgets, the whole rogue cloak and shape-shifting legs were not a thing until the redesign. Typhon actually went by Tyson before, and he looked more like Rodin from Bayonetta, just with golden armor. Although he didn't have a bear suit, he was always a brawler who fought with his fists and physical stature. And the reason why they are called the Four Hounds? Well, I was binging Game of Thrones around the time of 2019 or 2020, and there's a character nicknamed the Hound. I still remember laughing a lot at the scene where he tells everyone in the tavern, "Bring me chickens." So when it came time to give a fan game a signature name, that was where it came from. Pack asked, what is the thought process behind the level design, and is there inspiration taken from other Mega Man games with the way they're made? Here's how A's answered. Well, it's just sort of a toolbox. We have these toys, and let's use this and this together. Coming up with fun setups is easy, just a little imagination is needed. Needing to make it palatable for other people is a little bit more challenging due to you having developer knowledge. Then you test with other characters, weapons, self-imposed challenges, and whatnot. It's a sort of make it now and make it perfect later approach. Introductions are the most necessary, yet the most boring part of a level for me to make, but it becomes more fun afterwards once the player has been taught everything. Some references to other games are made, but there isn't like one source of inspiration. Just good Mega Man stuff in general, I suppose. Chizo had 3 questions. First question was, what made you decide to have the Four Hounds be the focus of the game? The Four Hounds are an important focus of the fan game, because in addition to the 8 Robot Masters, they are an ensemble cast that you can also remember as unique to this specific fan game story. Similar to how some Mega Man games have unique characters, like Duo, King, or the Mega Man Killers. Characters that aren't traditional Robot Masters, but still make their debut games stand out thanks to their inclusion. With the Four Hounds, they are cybernetic humans who came in from another world, accidentally summoned by Dr. Light's innovative portal machine, one that piques Dr. Wily's interest. In addition to a typical Mega Man story where Mega Man and his friends have to stop Dr. Wily from taking over the world using this new series of SLN Robot Masters, a bigger plot relating to the Four Hounds will unfold over time. You don't really have to worry about the Four Hounds right as you start your journey, but they will slowly open up about your story to get you invested in the bigger picture. It's also why you can pick up their phones in some stages and get help from them directly. It helps to solidify a bond with the group and learn more about their upbringing, each character's struggles and weaknesses. And without going into spoilers, Dr. Wily is not the true villain of the story. There are new faces of which the Mega Man community has never seen before. Or have they? Question number 2. Do plans, concepts, or materials of the Four Hounds exist prior to or beyond this fan game? That was already answered. Question number 3. Any tips, advice you could share for aspiring game devs? Here's how A's answered. Learn to compromise, improvise, and adapt badly executed but good ideas. Work on something new every day, challenge and push yourself out of your comfort zone. Make something now, make it perfect later. Learn to properly shelve, recycle, and preserve. Make it a habit of yours. There might be a good reason to cut something, but it's never good to destroy it. Fan9201 asks, how was Mega Man 4 Hounds born? What motivated you to make this project? And what currently motivates you? Here's how A's answered. I'll hijack the question a bit to reword it into what motivated you to join this project. I just want to work on something. I found that the environment in Four Hounds encourages expressing my creativity, and that's fun and most likely healthy for me. And here is how I answered. Part of the motivation revolves around wanting to deliver a unique Mega Man experience that ups the stakes of what is normally expected in official games, to show the world what I'm capable of. The stages are longer and they will beat you down for not fully paying attention, but they are chock full of goodies and my signature one-up stash. Bosses are more complex, but can be killed just as quickly as the original game's bosses. It's a game that could deliver a very tough experience, but one with the type of replay value you can totally commit to. Music is also a big factor. The arranged soundtrack has been evolving over the past 5 to 6 years, and my skill set has improved so much over that time frame. I'm really excited to show y'all what I've been working. Dieselnut asked, the soundtrack seems very ambitious, with every Robot Master having stage, cutscene, and boss music. On top of that, there's arranged versions of everything, and even alternative music from the older builds. Is making a soundtrack of this size a big challenge for the music team? Or was it always the plan to have a soundtrack this large? The game was always going to have an arranged soundtrack and a bigger sense of ambition. I did major in music production after all. The soundtrack generally was going to be smaller, although it was always intended to give each Robot Master at least 3 songs, with the stage, dialogue, and boss theme. However, some stages ended up having alternate compositions, composed by others, and it mostly came about to allow other music producers a chance to show off what they are capable of. So in the end, we got a big melting pot of songs from different composers. I'm happy with how that's turned out, because it's given me more arranged songs to do. Adib7946 asked, when this game is over, do you want any of the game's content to appear in Magma 4 as cameo? Here's how A's answered. That really isn't up to us. We first have to be approached by someone to ask us to use our creations. Then we decide on a case-by-case basis on what we allow to be used and who is allowed to use it. Currently, we have no plans for such a thing because we didn't even think about it, since the game still isn't fully finished, you know? Kurumi asked, will the release date be after Sage 2025? Here's how A's answered. Most definitely yes, but when specifically, we do not know. It was probably a bad idea for the last QA to give a rough estimate on when the game will release, since that's something that's subject to change. Life has many unpredictable, uncontrollable elements, and that can impact aspects of development. We'll announce when we're close and more confident about the game's release. Zooj asked, why is bass and proto playable but not roll? Here's how A's answered. I didn't join the team at the earlier stages of development, so I had no control over this. However, I did shoot down any suggestion of additional characters. For each character you add, the amount of stage design playtesting and tweaking grows exponentially. I know because Roll is a character in Mega Man Maker in addition to the 3 other ones, which are more established at this point. Each additional character needs a ton of sprite work too, and needs to be designed to stand out for the rest. Dominic Guzek asked, is the intro stage theme inspired by Sea King Leviathan's theme from Mega Man X Wily Wars? Here's how A's answered. No. That's gonna do it for our Q&A, and I hope you all got to enjoy what we had to share. Consider subscribing so you can stay up to date on more Four Hounds videos in the future. and I also suggest checking out the Mega Man 4 Hounds official Discord server, link in the description. This is the easiest way to keep yourself notified for future updates and Q&As, and you get to freely chat with others who also might be interested in the fan game. I would also like to announce here that we are currently looking for new programmers to join the Four Hounds team. There is a huge opportunity to learn with this project, and the more dedicated work that gets put into this department, the faster development will move along. If you join our Discord server, there is an application survey you can fill out. If you know someone, like a friend, who does have adequate experience with programming and the dedication to learn, share that survey with them. Spreading the word is always appreciated. And with that said, I'll be signing off. Take care, folks.